is it not, Elliot, in that this is typically the job of professional prosecutors with law degrees and backgrounds in building cases, I imagine, right, to find and then at some point, if the evidence suits, to prosecute wrongdoing. Have you, in your experience of a prosecutor, have had outside folks come in and say, hey, here's a list of folks for you to investigate?
Van on this, but in general, the problem here is not Elon Musk. The problem is the prosecutor. Any citizen is free and within their right to bring evidence of wrongdoing to the Justice Department. Case in point, Jim, Congress does it all the time. They're not prosecutors, but they write letters referring criminal activity to Congress for the Justice Department to investigate. The problem is that letter from this prosecutor that using this language of to the ends of the earth or whatever else, seeming to suggest that he has made a decision as to the guilt or innocence already of these people. So by all means, if these DOGE folks have found what they think is evidence of wrongdoing, they're allowed to tell DOJ about it. It's just up to DOJ and, quite frankly, the courts to make responsible, reasonable decisions as to who ought to and ought not to be prosecuted. And that's what smells bad here.
Understood. So that's the check, in effect, is the prosecutors here seeing if the list, in effect, is backed by the goods. Well, we'll see. We'll see where the prosecutor takes it. Renee, another story we've been following today. We're learning now that DOGE could rehire a former staffer connected with racist social media messages. And it was remarkable to see the president in his press conference today alongside the Japanese prime minister asked about this and say, hey, if J.D. Vance, my vice president, is for bringing him back, I'm for bringing him back. Can you remind folks what the actual statements were?
Right. So this DOGE staffer actually resigned after being linked to these racist social media posts that called for repealing of the Civil Rights Act, endorsed eugenic immigration policy that discriminates against immigrants from certain countries and favors others, and repeated these anti-Indian posts saying, quote, normalize Indian hate. Well, that person is now back on the job. Elon Musk announced that via a post on X today. And the reinstatement of this 25-year-old DOGE staffer by the name of Mark Elez came shortly after Vice President J.D. Vance said on X that while he didn't agree with some of Elez's posts, he didn't think, quote, stupid social media activity should ruin a kid's life. And President Trump publicly supported the DOGE staffer's reinstatement this afternoon and in the White House. I want you to take a listen to that moment.
The vice president says, bring him back. What do you say?
Well, I don't know about the particular thing, but if the vice president said that, did you say that? I'm with the vice president.
And just like that, that DOGE employee is back. But Jim, retaining a staffer who has called for the repeal of the Civil Rights Act, which essentially makes sure that you are not discriminated against based on race, sex, etc., bringing back someone who has that point of view, coupled with the administration's attack on all things related to diversity, equity, inclusion, really says a lot about the administration and its views, Jim.
Van, what does it say about the administration and its views to you?
Well, listen, if it were just simply a policy disagreement about the Civil Rights Act, that might be one thing. He literally said, I was racist before racist was cool. Yeah. That's one of the posts. So this is not, some woke agenda. These people are you're literally talking about someone who's a self-admitted racist, someone who literally says the most horrible things about Indians that you can't even repeat on air. And he hasn't taken these posts down. And by the way, I'm a second chances guy. I'm a restorative justice, criminal justice guy. When you apologize, when you atone, when you show you've learned something and want to move forward with your life, then society should welcome you back. This young man has not made any apology, any atonement, and apparently that's no longer necessary in America. You can literally say, I am a racist and proud of it and work at the highest levels of government because that's what DEI says. We only want to have qualified people. Apparently only qualified racists, qualified bigots, and qualified haters need apply.
Lauren, your thoughts? Is that an association that this president, this administration, this party should want?
Absolutely not. But I do think that we don't know if he has apologized privately, which might be why J.D. Vance made the comments that he did.
He said it publicly.
I agree, though, that Van's right, that we have to have an apology here from this young kid. And, you know, I don't want to judge him and ruin his life either. Cancel culture to me is just really harsh, especially for, you know, teenagers and 20-year-olds and others that don't even have their brain fully developed all the time when they're making these posts. But I do think that he needs to accept the responsibility for what he did, especially if he wants to come back in and make things right.
Van Jones, Lauren Tomlinson, Elliot Williams, Renee Marsh.